achieved my movement goal for the day. But it's going to beep when I get to 20 minutes, so just so you know.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to Caffe Lena Poetry. Look at your beautiful faces. All right, this is... we have this. You are my favorite people in the entire world. You have the best qualities. You're intelligent. You're gorgeous.
And you show up.
Yeah. So, well, you know, I haven't seen anyone in a long time, so.
Actually, now that I think about it, that's right. I mean, we're in person.
Right?
No more little boxes.
With their own faces on the front of them.
That's a good idea, actually. I don't have one, but that's a good idea.
So welcome to all the people watching on YouTube and Facebook. We love that you're watching also. You can, at any point that you want, you can click on the tip jar link and donate all your life savings to Caffe Lena Poetry. That would be wonderful. I'm going to start by reading a poem by Ross Gay, and then we're going to go on to our first featured poet. In total, we have 3 poets tonight. Their names are, in alphabetical order, Stuart Bartow, Jim Eve, and Judith Kerman. So let's give a round of applause for the poets who made long drives, came out. Some came earlier than others. Some were more on time than others, but they're all here. That's what counts. All right, so here's the poem by Ross Gay. It's called Thank You. If you find yourself naked and barefoot in the frosty grass, hearing again the earth's great sonorous moan that says you are the heir of the now and gone, that says all you love will turn to dust and will meet you there, do not raise your fist. Do not raise your small voice against it, and do not take cover. Instead, curl your toes into the grass. Watch the cloud ascending from your lips. Walk through the garden's dormant splendor. Say only thank you. Thank you. Yay. I'd like to thank you for that applause, but it was a little on the anemic side. So let's hear it again. We're going to start off Poetry Night. 3 wonderful poets. Let's give us a round of applause to get going.
Yay!
I make my husband applaud when I'm done with the dishes. Yay, Carol! Good job. All right, we're going to start off with the very accomplished Judith Kerman. Her new book is called Definitions. It was recently published by Fomite Press in May 2021. She's published 10 prior collections of poetry. Her most recent books are Aleph, Broken, Poems from My Diaspora, from Broadstone Books in 2016. And she's also done 3 books of translation of Cuban and Dominican women's poetry and fiction. She is the founder of Earth's Daughters, which is a magazine out of Buffalo, New York since 1971, and she runs Mayapple Press in Woodstock. Let's get ready to listen to Judith Kerman's work.
Thank you. I want to start with something from a new project. This is a new collection. It is called GIMP because of my status as a protected minority. And as I say, the rest of the world is not yet disabled. But I want to read one. I'm very fond of alphabetic acrostics. And this is one, it's called Downfall, alphabetic acrostic. So that means the first letter of each line is the next letter of the alphabet in order. A sense of balance comes in handy when you're drowsy or your mind is elsewhere, not watching where your feet are going. Without good balance, how can you avoid injury, twisted joints, and bruised knees? Your foot catches on a mat, or you bump into an obstacle not seen, and your ass over tea kettle, arms flailing into a pile of dropped books. Queer how tall the room looks from down here. Splashed coffee drips down the wall, testifies to your momentum. Uprightness seems impossible. Vertigo threatens as you wait for your breath to steady. X begins to mark the spot, your latest bruise. Zapped again. And that book, I don't know when that book will come out. I don't have a publisher for it yet. I've decided I'm going to try to get most of the poems published in magazines first. And a couple from the last book, one of which I'm going to sing. I have said a few of my poems. This is one book that I've said a poem. And there are also overlaps, like there are poems in this book that are definitions. And the reason the book exists is because one of the publishers that I proposed the book to, who didn't end up publishing it because I liked somebody else's interest in editing, but he wanted me to do a whole book of definitions, and that's Fomite. So now there is a whole book of definitions. But I'll read just a few from Aleph Broken, which is my poem about being in diaspora. And although my diaspora is Jewish, I've been told by people from other diasporas that it speaks to them also. This particular poem, the first one in the book, I just need to tell you a few words. Cholent is the title, and it is a kind of stew that's served on Sabbath sometimes, and it is actually described in the poem. There is also a German expression, which you may have heard of before, Arbeit macht frei. It was on the concentration camp gates, and it means work makes you free. Nobody can accuse the Germans of not having a sense of humor. Cholent. The tradition is a stone building, windows filled with yellow light. Black letters, square and mysterious as granite. Wrought iron, that other voice, Arbeit macht frei, spreading its arms across the gate. The sword turns at the door. I sit by Grandpa, a wriggling toddler, the only female in the shul. I do not see a balcony, a curtain hiding the women. Old men in black fedoras bow and sing. The echo of the flames is close in our ears. I do not know the names of Grandpa's brothers who died before I was born. Fridays, women in other houses rush about cleaning and cooking, heating the oven to keep the cholent hot, meat and fruit, a stewing sweetness I've never tasted. My mother didn't stand, white cloth on her head, lighting candles. At Hanukkah, when I put the menorah in the window, I hear the glass breaking. Those who understand these images, those who don't. The book's opened the wrong way. Yellow light lies under the apple trees like honey. And one more. Pumpernickel. This is a bread I have not found anywhere since I was a child. I've tried to make it and I haven't succeeded. Pumpernickel. It came home with Daddy on the train from New York, round and heavy, with a hard mahogany crust knobbly as stone. We ate it weekend mornings, dense and chewy, mottled gray and tan, sliced thin with full-fat Philadelphia cream cheese. They offer bread like that in Germany on hotel buffets, not what they sell here, flimsy and burnt sugar black or damp black bricks of whole rye imported. Daddy insisted Stummers used no coloring, but I tried whole wheat, rye meal, barley, buckwheat, paged through recipes flavored with cocoa, molasses, coffee, looking for that bitterness. Online, you find a small universe of people who remember Stummers pumpernickel. Someone's posted a photo of a 1920s Stummers truck. Rye starter foams in the refrigerator, a responsibility like caring for a pet or visiting a grave. And the last thing I want to do from this book is one that I've set to music. And it is very much an allegory, a midrash, if you know what a midrash is. It's a riff on a Bible story. So this is a riff on after the creation. And it's called Star-Nosed Mole, which if you know the animals around here, we have them, and they're quite strange looking. Afterward, God imagined a mole, snatch of dark fur, pale polyp flower of a nose, snuffling through the dirt. Imagined her passing through cloth like the needle of a blind tailor, turning hems by touch. Imagine the shovel claws scraping toward the knot of black roots, the ears deep in the skull, listening for small movements, the eyes no more than stitches in a shroud. Even now, all these years later, the light of her star gleams down the long tunnels. And I'm going to go to the new book. This is the new book. And the cover I owe to a wonderful collage artist named Katie McCann. And everything in this book is pretending to be a definition, including on the back it says, blurb, a short publicity notice, as on a book jacket, such as, and then I have all of my blurbs. And I just got, by email, of course, the video that Nancy Rodwin made of one of these, made of one of these. So I'm going to start with this one that she created a video for. It's called Elephant. And every word that is in this book, and by the way, the structure is a palindrome. It goes from A to Z, and then it comes back from Z to A. And a few words, some letters have more than 2 words, but the concept is A to Z and Z to A. So elephant, elephant, elephant with the phonetic spelling. It's a noun. 1, what no one in the room wants to talk about. 2, a large gray stone, heavy in the hand. 3, handicap, ugliness, bigotry, death. 4, being blind, feeling your way around obstacles by touch, by smell. 5, not a donkey. 6, the circus handlers urge their beasts to turn using big hook sticks. It helps to have a thick skin, rough as tree bark. 7, they live in matriarchy, hold wakes for their dead. Now, I have this bad habit of using poems in more than one book. So I'm going to kind of focus tonight on things that are in more than one book. This one is in the new book, which is called GIMP, and it's called Handicap. Hand-e-cap, noun or verb. 1, from hand in cap, an English betting game too complicated to explain here. 2, later, a competitive burden such as weight added to a champion racehorse to give the less talented a fighting chance. 3, the number of strokes over par for the course considered appropriate for a duffer. At the tee, I consider mine. Very high and not likely to get any lower. I address the ball and swing, I whiff, hook, or slice. 4, in folk etymology, a crippled soldier on a street corner begging alms with his cap in hand. 5, I'm now rewarded with a special tag for reserved parking spots. The new logo looks like everyone is a Paralympics athlete. 6, some people don't like the term, or disabled either. I just call myself GIMP. And that's where the title of the next book comes from. This is sort of This is my COVID poem. I don't have a lot of them, but this is one. It's called Vector, which is a noun. 1, direction, like the flight path of an arrow or poison dart, a mathematical abstraction. 2, computers were invented to chart the trajectory of artillery. Only later were they used to track money. In computer graphics, vectors calculate a shape. Raster graphics have space in memory for every pixel, like the retinas of our eyes. 3, the threat is invisible. Not mice and rats, but their fleas. Lice, tick nymphs the size of poppy seeds, doorknobs, and elevator buttons. 4, half the carriers have no symptoms, like Typhoid Mary defiantly cooking for strangers. They go out in the street, unmasked, insouciant, crowds at the beach in their bikinis, young men elbow to elbow at the bars. 5, the threat is like carbon monoxide when the air in the house feels fresh, transparent, but the furnace guy says, "You could have woke up dead." He did say that. Xenophobia, which is a noun. 1, sitting next to a young Mexican man on a plane watching Independence Day, I thought, this movie is about you. 2, fear of things with armored, jointed arms. Insects, crabs, and spiders, especially big ones. This is why the extraterrestrial in Alien looks like a huge bug, but E.T. doesn't. 3, tinges our attraction to polar bears with their strange black noses and human-like curiosity. But we more closely resemble pandas and koalas. 4, fear of halving the distance from a frontier, then halving it again. I mean, like half. 5, fear of the distance between me and my body. 6, going into a crowd is okay if they all look alike. 7, they'd better look like me. Shot, adjective or noun. 1, worn through into holes, old shirt, old shoes, too far gone for goodwill. 2, a hole in one, nice. 3, amber heat in the glass, a scent of oak. 4, and a beer. 5, walking in the dark, trees obscure the stars, a sound in the distance. 6, a 5-pound bag of steel pellets. 7, look straight at the camera and don't move. 8, this won't hurt a bit. Don't you love, actually the epigraph for this whole book from my friend Bob McDonough, I love English, there are so many things you can do with it. Well, maybe, 2 more?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Eclipse, noun or verb. 1, in theater, a bit player upstages the star. 2, the vortex draws the eye up and in. No one is weeping. The dog in the next car stares at the sky, does not bark. 3, the sky is not black, but the luminous blue of dusk. Firefly Venus floats beside the circle of sun moon, a Ceylon sapphire set in diamonds. 4, blood moon. And I want to finish with one of the other ones this is one that's also in the Jewish book in Aleph Broken, and it's called Diaspora. And I owe something of the idea of Aleph broken to an Irish friend of mine who said he was going back to Ireland visiting from the diaspora. And I realized how much that's not just a Jewish word. And in Africa, they speak of the African diaspora, which is American black people and Caribbean black people and Brazilian black people. That's the African diaspora. So we all have a lot of company. Diaspora, noun. 1, a woman with a kerchief over her hair sits on a suitcase, somewhere, going somewhere else. 2, distance, the idea of homecoming. Were we taken or did we go? 3, the smells of cooking hover in the stairwells, the roof leaks. 4, suburbia. 5, in each generation, scattered like dandelion fluff, the tiny parachute that takes the seed to a place where it might root. The dandelion has a deep taproot. It does not want to move again. 6, visiting the old country. We carry phrase books and maps of the sacred places. 7, mitzvah mobiles, backpacks, valises, tents, the movable sanctuary, the ark with its carrying poles. 8, in the book Nomadic Furniture, everything folds up or is disposable. Armchairs made of corrugated cardboard, air mattresses. 9, don't buy too many books. And this is for sale, and my others are for sale at judithkerman.com. And thank you all.
All right, let's hear it one more time for Judith Kerman. We're going to get our stage rearranged here. Next up to the mic is going to be Jim Eve. Jim is one of the originators of the reading series Calling All Poets, which is based in Beacon, New York. I met Jim when he invited me to read at the Howland Cultural Center, which was a gorgeous building. And he was a wonderful host. And I read there again, and we've been trying to get him up here. This is the first time he's ever featured at Caffe Lena. He has a long drive. I had the opportunity to read as a featured poet with Jim over Zoom with the Word of Mouth poetry series in February. And it reminded me how much I wanted to hear him read a whole set rather than just 1 or 2 short pieces. So as I said, he's a board member of the Howland Cultural Center. He's kept CAPS going for more than 20 years, along with Mike Jurkovic, and they've got a great list of readers coming up for this summer. Roberta Gould, Cheryl Rice are going to be there. Missed it, May 7th, sorry. But a lot of good people. They do a wonderful job, and I'm happy to have him come up here and share his work with you. Let's hear it for Jim Eve.
No, I'll just put my sheets on this and I'll be good. Great. Okay. Just so you know, I am a poetic straight man. I don't have any wonderful stories to tell you about my poems or anything else. I get up here and I read what I write, and you get whatever you want to take out of it. Okay? So I'm going to start right off with long ago along the Hudson. It wasn't exactly Eden, but the river was my garden. I am an Eve, after all. A long time ago, I was rocking to iron butterflies in the Garden La Vida. There was no serpents in my garden, except maybe the Vietnam War. No bad apples, just fun-loving young boomers, skipping stones on the river water surface, smoking marijuana, or dropping acid to zone out. No fuzz or pigs trying to expel us from our oasis on the riverfront in Peekskill. The Hudson quietly flowed by moored ships, the Ghost Fleet they were called. Their silhouettes stretched from Jones Point to Tompkins Cove under the spotlight of a brilliant moon, reminder of a past war. Gathered with friends trying to escape reality, the coming of age draft in the Vietnam War, we partied to hide our fear. The war, ever present, would take another mother's son to a conflict far, far away, such that we had to check with each other to make note of who the garden lost, realizing you can't always get what you want while skipping stones. I'm also from the Bronx, and this poem was written in '83, and it's a remembrance of my time in the Bronx. It's titled, Whatever Happened to Leo? Whatever happened to Leo, a white man, pale and frail, black yarmulke on his head, a bodega owner who prevailed. He lived amongst us blacks and Latinos, spoke English, Spanish, and even Latino, which is a Jewish version of Spanish from Europe. That's the best I can do for you folks. Sold us groceries, Leo did. Gave out rock candy to the neighborhood kids. A 174th Street Jew, a man of easy speaking, a white light in a dark Bronx, which wasn't easy keeping. Whatever happened to Leo, I surely wish I knew. He was certainly one lone dumpling in a pot of Southern Boulevard stew. From '97, crossed by the falls. Everybody hikes Mount Beacon. I hiked Mount Beacon, and on this day, this is what I saw. Crossed by the falls. Next to a beautiful, elongated falls, somewhere near a hiking trail on Mount Beacon, stood a lone wooden cross. On the stained wood cross was the words, "In memory of." Beneath the words was a colored photo of a young white male and his black dog, a picture taken in a happier time before the Reaper came. I stood quietly before this makeshift memorial, trying to recognize this young man, but he was no one of consequence. So I stood reflecting on this completely unexpected parable, trying to rationalize why with life comes death. I stood before this cross, looking at the picture, trying to absorb meaning from this young man's fate. In the middle of God's green forest, I realized I too could die at any time, but it wasn't going to be today. Lord, you hear? Not today. I sought peace and quiet on Mount Beacon this day, not death, yet death, like life, is everywhere. From '98, another childhood memory. Cornflakes and sugar water. When I was a young boy, breakfast would consist of cornflakes and sugar water, for milk was scarce as money. Mother would get her tired self up from her squeaky headboardless bed wearing a faded pink nightgown stretched taut about her hefty body. She threw on a threadbare robe, make her way to the kitchen stove, light the oven, leaving the door open to lessen the chill in the roach shared flat. I hated getting up in the mornings, afraid I would step on a scurrying roach, be nauseated by its crackling death and its green mucus under my feet. Mother would stand over me with her large breast and partially covered by her undersized robe, shaking me. I would be rudely awakened to her sight. She'd walk away after a moment shouting, "Boy, move your butt. Breakfast is on the table. Did you hear me, boy?" I said, "Move it." So I got up and started my day. I hated getting up in the mornings, maybe because of the lasting images of my mother, maybe because I still expected roaches to be under my feet, maybe because I just don't like rising in the mornings. Yet, I still like cornflakes and sugar water. It was the only thing about my youthful mornings that was sweet. From 2000, what we do. We protest, we march. We protest, we march. We protest, we march, while change on both sides of the route shuffles its feet on the concrete sidewalks of making a difference. That's the way it has been for black folks in America, decade after decade after decade. We protest, we march, after another black soul has been taken out by them and placed in a grave. Change attends the funeral as an oblivious observer. We protest, we march, in death's open arms, where we rest from marching and no longer have to wait for change. America's graveyards are filled with black men, women, and children, hung, shot, burned alive while pursuing the American dream, apparently designated for them only. We protest, we march, even while change turns its back on us. For we believe we shall overcome them. Angst from 2004. People with troubled hearts and minds seemingly always try to climb the tumultuous mountain called normal. With a peak so high that at its best, its crest is an ambiguous point, having no point at all, just cloud cover. Normal has false peaks where the view is chaotic and rambling, leaving one no closer to the top, but only near the bottom if one chose to look. What is, isn't. What isn't, is. The struggle to climb to the top of normal, to declare one's conformity, is a crock, achieved only by the elite who wanted to find the norm. So thanks, but no thanks. I'll just live in the valley of the craze and wait the raging storm. Blocked. From 2017. A starless June night, I take flight into the dark, looking for my muse. I'm engaged in a process defined by chaos. Thoughts run rampant, out of place, avoiding paper. Ink drips from my suspended pen in blotches, not words. I sit quietly, trying to capture thoughts that want to run free. And they were all 575 verses. No repeat, America. I am an American, one of color. My roots cover several countries where travesties and injustices have thrived. I was born in America, and America's history is part of me. I am an American. America is me. Past transgressions as part and parcel of America's history should always be studied, analyzed, understood, and prevented from ever happening again by all Americans. Removing articles of our past history is a travesty, an erasure of the facts, a miscarriage of reality. If we remove everything that offends someone, what then? What would America be? This country, built by immigrants on land taken from America's native people, is quilted with violence and injustices from its birth to what it has grown to be today. The facts are irreversible. The presentation of the facts, at times, questionable. But what one takes away from them is purely individual and varied. America will always be a diverse country. Its existence is predicated on that. Her history will always reflect that. Pray that it will never, ever be repeated. From 2018, another haiku kind of thing. In a mixture of sun and gray clouds emerges a shower of snow. Intense snow flurries zigzag in the steady wind. Tree branches swat them. During the shower, the sun chose to shine brightly. Snowflakes took refuge. I think this is a Tonka, but I'm not sure. The character of clouds. Shape-shifting clouds patch pale blue sky with many shapes, smoothly streaming by to dissipate in thin air, never again to appear. 2019, YouTubed. Nature at times is terrifying. When it comes to survival of the fittest, strong versus weak, it is almost certain the weak will perish. Yet, YouTube has the liberty to bring these oftentimes tragic events to the masses. I came across such an event to my ultimate dismay, a leopard attacking a sleeping dog. The act, caught on a security camera, showed the leopard creeping up on the unsuspecting dog with such stealth, the dog is completely unaware until too late. Caught in the jaws of the leopard, the dog's struggle was futile, and though the film was silent, I could hear the dog's deathly yelps as it was swiftly carried out of view. Feeling sick to my stomach and disgusted, I swore to myself not to view anything on YouTube ever again. A promise I broke time and time over. Shit, from 2020. Seagulls on Main Street flying erratically, dodging cars for bread. Leaving Teller Avenue, crossing Main Street, I was strafed. The gulls flying low let loose a barrage of shit on my passing truck. Bird shit spotted the windshield in blots of white, black, and yellow. My wipers turned on, washer fluid lever pressed. A hum could be heard. Windshield washer fluid out. Damn reservoir empty. What the fuck? Time?
What do you have left?
I can do 2 more and that'll be it. Okay. Again, 575 lines. The poem is titled that. Somewhere, a haiku is hiding within my mind. The fog in my head spoils the search to reveal it. Secondary thoughts seek to expose the haiku. I hold pen in hand, hot with anticipation, yet nothing comes forth except 575 lines, unlikely forming this out-of-character poem of no real substance. And then I'll end with this one. My wife would shoot me if she heard it, but in my defense, I was once asked, why did you marry a white girl, brother? I pondered this question a bit, having given my marriage much thought, and responded, I don't know. Maybe because I happened to fall in love. She was, after all, a woman. Maybe because she was attracted to me. I was, after all, a man. Maybe it was because we found in each other what eluded us with everyone else. Maybe because I believed she loved me and she trusted I loved her. But really, brother, a white woman? Yeah, a white woman, brother, which somehow you find fault. I simply married the woman I love. After all, she is a person of color, and we are both from the rainbow that is mankind. Thank you very much. Thank you, Carol, for inviting me. I enjoyed that.
Very welcome. I'm glad we finally did this. And I gotta say, just don't tell your wife that this is gonna be up on YouTube. It's like, it's not just between you and us, Jim. It's out there. All right, our next poet up is primarily a trout fisherman, but he does teach writing and literature at SUNY Adirondack. He's the chair of the Battenkill Conservancy, and he has some books published. One of his books is Teaching Trout to Talk, The Zen of Small Stream Fly Fishing, which won an award. His latest collections are Einstein's Lawn and Green Midnight, which are published by Dos Madres Press. And then he has another book called One Branch, which is Haiku and Haibun from Red Moon Press. Stuart Bartow.
Oh, you do? Okay. Okay. Can I get that stand there? I might need a shield.
Sure, just drag it on over. Make sure you have a place to it.
Okay. Is that good? Everybody hear me okay?
That's-
Yeah? No?
This is the light works.
Do you want me to turn down the lights, Joe?
So everyone can hear me all right? Yeah. We're good? Okay. I brought, I've got some books out on the table, but I decided not to read from them. I chose instead to read some new poems that were written, I don't know, I think in about the past year. So I've got about a dozen of them here. That probably will go about 20 minutes. If it doesn't, Carol, you're going to...
Don't get off the stage till the 20 minutes are up. You gotta stay at least.
Oh, well, I can do that, Okay, this is called Bees Came. And it's one of those poems, I have a couple like this, where the title is the first line. There's some term for that, I don't remember what it is, though. Bees came, dropped into the black mouths of the poppies I had planted there. They bathed in black pollen, then struggled out and flew off like they had somewhere important to go. And they did, but I didn't follow. On that day, it was none of my business. My business was to have faith that they knew where to go. My business was to believe they always know exactly what to do, to keep the earth humming, which got me to thinking about us, what we are supposed to be doing. But this was a June morning for watching bees fall and rise out of flowers, keeping me busy. I've got a few bird poems. I've been paying attention to them lately, It's called Mockingbirds. It's interesting, when I was a kid, growing up in New England, I never saw any mockingbirds. They were like south, but they've moved up. Maybe it's climate change, I don't know. Mockingbirds. Walking into that summer morning through a parking lot, sheened with last night's rain, your quicksilver song brought me back to the world. At first, I couldn't find you as your notes cascaded from a treeless height. It took a while to home the source of those stolen songs and melodies without words, the poet perched high on a lamppost, sky for roof. Sometimes I'm taken far away to find your kind partial to lampposts, heedless of wind and damp, and maybe that's the secret. So simple that you love the music of all the others, and about rain, you don't bother. Blue jays. They're in the woodshed again. Each May they return, blue streaks through the doorless front and doorless side. This time their nest, an ugly bunch of sticks built in a blink, squats on a couple of boards beneath the rafters, too flimsy for the feral cats to risk. About mid-June their brood will fledge, and I won't need the shed till then. Meanwhile, the abandoned house next door has starlings. I am learning to wait until the world flies away. Our towers, bridges, runways, all for the birds. This is called Drunk Robins. I think it'll be clear how they get drunk from the poem. If not, just raise your hand and I'll explain it. I've never seen so many robins in a flock. Heavy frosts have made the crab apples ferment, and the robins are spinning about in what looks like joy while I watch inside the classroom. One banks into a window but still returns for another taste, so I drop the shades, hoping to help them navigate the party. Perhaps no one else on campus sees so many robins falling and rollicking with only the misplaced gravity that defends so many drunks and, as I recall, occasionally saved me. Look what the wind blew in, people sometimes say to me when I arrive out of the blue or into it, as though my arrivals were random and I unaware of all I might be doing, destinations nothing to do with destiny. Look what the wind blew in, as if gravity played loose with me, a blithe spirit sailing through the door, paper trash with a poem scribbled in a dead language or a future one, even 21st century English. So much better than look what the cat dragged in. For who would choose dead or bedraggled when you could open your arms like a crow on a scarecrow and strike into the wind? So, scarecrows. You don't see too many of them around anymore. I don't know. I always liked them as a kid. Maybe something pagan about it all. I don't know. Scarecrows. They used to sport fedoras, but fashions change. No top hat. This one wears a baseball cap, shirt plaid like mine. Maybe I too will learn to stay still as the clouds drift by and the moon goes and comes. Will learn the wind's old language, learn to be silent, head full of air and starfall. Things do light on me at times. Leaves, a dragonfly that perceives my brotherhood to you. Still, Scarecrow, you can show us how silence can dance and destinies might pleach. Why, you were planted here, not to scare birds, but in whimsy. Whimsy is an interesting word in English. I read somewhere that there are 3 words in English that are impossible to translate. Whimsy, gobbledygook, and serendipity, I think is the Okay, this is another poem with the first line, the title as the first line. Live life on solid ground, said the radio ad, but not me, though the earth keeps pulling, wanting us back, to feed us to the infinite microbes, to remake our bodies into other shapes. Often I return to the forest glade where I left my old dog's body and find nothing of her there but swaying canes and goldenrod. It's there I realize the hike has made my heart a roaring oven, and in this quiet place, away from those who turn this world into a hell, it comes to me that poets are different from their poems. Our poems reveal what we are not, and sun and other stars are also pulling us. This is called Fog 2. This is going to be under 20 minutes. I'm going to be in trouble. I can sing and dance. I don't think you want to see that, though. No, it's not going to happen. No, they're not paying me enough, and I might drive you all the way. It's called Fog 2. Today the fog so thick the bushes and trees under a spell. How to live with contrary ideas. Everything is what it is, while everything is something else, or was, or will be, including us. Where are we going? To think we might become energy fields if we're lucky, smart, or both. And good, that matters too. Everything changing. most of which we don't see. The crocuses suddenly arrive. The hornet's nest appears above the front door one day. The face in the mirror out of focus. Even the stars, the Andromeda galaxy nearer. All of us melting into fog and mist last night, leaving traces of what we were or will become. This is called Squirrels Hypnotized. I have a whole bunch of grandkids. I know it's impossible to leave. I'm way too young for that. But my family started stuff earlier than they should have, and all kinds of things. Anyway, they're fun, and I was looking at a drawing by one of my grandsons, and he had these squirrels in these trees, and their eyes looked all freaky. And I said, "What's wrong with their eyes?" And he said, "They're hypnotized." So I had to make a poem out of that. So I made it into a Villanelle 19-line poem with the rhymes. It takes a while to explain that. It's just a lot of repetitions. The most famous Villanelle, I guess, would be Dylan Thomas's "Do Not Go Gentle into Good Night." So this is way different from that.
How old was your grandson?
At the time, he was 5 or 6, I think. I think he's 7 now. So this was written, I don't know, about a year ago I wrote this thing? I don't know. Squirrels hypnotized. The squirrels, he told me, are hypnotized. The little boy explained what he had made, the eyes he drew, vacant and wild. So then I had to think a while about a child's mind beyond a frame. The squirrels, he said, are hypnotized. The picture of a tree with squirrels up high, a tree with secret doors and rooms, the eyes he drew, vacant and wild. What brews inside a child's mind? What possessed him, called him as he drew? The squirrels, he said, are hypnotized. I see bodies all the time, fixed and glued, staring into black devices, recall the eyes he drew, vacant and wild. The sky above the trees he drew, the moon and all the doors beneath the clouds that flew. The squirrels, he told me, are hypnotized, their eyes transfixed, vacant and wild. Oh, thank you. Thank you. You got to spend more time talking to kids. Thank you. You know, if you hang out with little kids, you can get good poems. You know, okay. This is called Beings, and it'll become clear it's about mushrooms. So very interesting facts about mushrooms. Maybe they'll become clear in the poem. We share a lot of genomic characteristics with mushrooms. Maybe that's why when you eat certain kinds, something wonderful happens in your mind. They're also, well, I'll just read the poem because that's much easier than trying to explain mushrooms. I'm not a mycologist, I don't know. Beings. Why not love the rotting stump, black loam, Volvaria bombacina, stinkhorns, tricoloma, transmutans, beings who will wait years to make a body rise in starlight? Because mushrooms are never dead, they love the dark, their mycelium thriving in earth. Let's think instead about soft-skinned crepidotus, clavaria, false morels, the shaggy-maned mushroom that makes 5 billion spores, boletas, puffballs, sulfur polyphores, fairy rings, earth stars, and the 50,000 species of mushrooms with whom we share half our genome. Maybe we too will branch into multiple species if we do not disappear. Let mycologists consider the sex life of mushrooms, as some make spores without mates, while others become male or female, mysteriously particular with whom they'll share their mycelium. Many require a dying host, and the most beautiful, poisonous. Consider the deceiving clitocybe, the deadly amanita, destroying angel, sprouted last night, wearing a little white scarf, right there, plain as day, in my front yard. This is called Visitors. I live in a little village called Salem, so I get like kids for Halloween. It's like my favorite. A witch is ringing my dead doorbell, which has been dead as long as I've been here. She only wants candy, an easy witch. This fall, the world is parched. Hasn't rained for long. The leaves chatter. My favorites are two. The boy with mini cereal boxes impaled on his white sheet, a serial killer. And a girl in black with a black veil. She's a cemetery bride. I hope she grows up happy. I hope she doesn't grow into a tale by Poe or Hawthorne in a graveyard nights, yearning for a dead lover's return. After she leaves, I feel clouds thickening, the sky gathering force. And this last one is called Glowworms, which is a rare sight. You have to be out at night in the woods or near the woods. Out behind my brother's shack, where I go to take a piss, away from all our drinking buddies' racket, I see them before the woods begin to rise, glowing green beneath wild raspberry canes, live emeralds you'd never find in daylight, hidden under brush and leaves. How remarkable that we might stumble upon beings we would never see unless we chance upon some stubble, some place at night where others never go. Strange to think what night might show at border of wild and home, whether we gaze up to the stars or down below. And I'm sure that was precisely 20 minutes. Thank you very much. Thanks, Carol.
Thanks, Stu. That was
And
perfect.
Thanks. You guys were great.
Yeah. Let's hear it for the audience. You guys give yourselves a hand. All right. Thanks. Let's hear it for all our featured poet. We have Judith Kerman, Jim Eves, Stuart Bartow. You can Google them all to find their books. For those of you that are smart enough to be here, their books are in the lobby. We're going to be here July 7th with Richard Levine, Ian Max, and Jackie Craven. You can come in person. Tickets will be on sale at some point. Or you can watch us online. Also, we are going to be back with an open mic probably in the fall. So we'll let you know as soon as we know about that. I'm good. I can't think of anything else to say. Let's have a good rest of the night. Let's hear it again for our poets, and see you next month.